Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Sports. The Lions have just put on an absolute masterclass at Emirates Airline Park, beating the Sharks 38 points to 14 in the end, but 38 points to nil until the 78th minute. It was one of the all-time great performances from the Lions, and they have very much reignited their URC hopes. That will put them into 8th place, back into the top 8 for the first time, starting about November. And the Sharks, well, it's an absolutely shocking performance, in all honesty. And that will raise a couple of alarm bells. You know, they don't have to worry too much about where they are in the log. They're still sitting in fourth, and we'll wait to see what happens with Munster. But they've got games in hand moving forward to the Sharks. But that performance from the Lions was iconic. I actually just can't rave about it enough because it was such a good all-round performance. You know, it wasn't just like they capitalized on the back of a decent scrum or they had a couple of counter-attack tries. Every facet of the game was dominated by the Lions. And in really tough conditions, they pulled together and just played better rugby. Before we break the game down, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. It started brilliantly out for the Lions as PJ Boyd went over in the 6th minute before Frank Horn went over in the 14th minute. And all of a sudden, 14-0 at 15 minutes to go. What I think made the big difference is the Lions had a couple of scrum penalties, and I thought they started quite positively. But then it started raining, and the Lions basically went, okay, let's get rain, let's go. And they could just see it's almost like a switch in intensity when it started raining, that they knew they had to focus, and almost like that ultra sort of focus in terms of making, not making mistakes, just completely gelled them together. They were winning turnovers. The Sharks couldn't hold on to anything, which the Lions were holding on to everything. I'd love to see some of the handling errors the Sharks made because it was appalling. And when you've got the Lions who, and Manny Russ, I'm just going to talk about it in a bit, he's getting his man of the match award. When you've got the Lions who were dominating the scrums, it was always going to be ominous signs for the Sharks. And Suga Tuna went to the bin in the 33rd minute, and Edel van der Merwe, a brilliant pre-planned sort of move with Morne van den Berg drifting inside ball from Edel van der Merwe. And then, probably my second favorite part of the game, he gave Jordan Hendrickse the eyes all the way through. After halftime, Creel went over in the 1st minute, and that's the biggest thing for the Sharks. They would have had a halftime chat and spoken about, well, you can get back into this game. You've got a really good bench. You've got Vincent Koch coming on later. You've got Sia Khaleesi coming on later. Grant Williams, who did make a big difference, but it was too little too late because the Lions went over immediately after halftime, and at 24-0, it's a big mountain to climb. Julius then got sent off for a yellow card in the 59th minute. Jared Keynes went over in the 59th minute. Johnny Lombard went over in the 70th minute. And Nico Steyn in the 71st minute to score 6 tries before a late yellow card. Johnny Lombard allowed the Sharks to come back with 2 late tries via Ethan Hooker and Sia Khaleesi. Lions spent 76 minutes in the lead. But you look at some of these stats and they paint a very, very interesting picture. The territory. Sharks spent 29% of the game inside their own 22. In fact, it was 29% in the 22, 29% in between the halfway and the 22. So they spent 60% inside their own half. The Lions' territory game today was phenomenal. Again, they played the conditions. Lots of kicks into space where the ball was going to hold up. Jordan Hendrickse basically spent his entire game going left to right, fielding kicks, and the Lions' chase was really good, putting them under pressure, pulling them out, going to the line. Lions executed a tactic to perfection, and the Sharks actually just didn't have a solution to it. They just didn't have an answer to what the Lions were doing. And despite having 50% of the possession, they spent a lot of the time defending. But if you look at the scrums, Lions dominated the scrums. Sharks' line was a lot better. It usually is. But Lions getting a lot of penalties from the scrums. I thought another big performance from Asanate and Tlabakanye. On the attack, Lions 198 post-contact meters to 138. But the Lions, 8 turnovers won and Sharks 16 turnovers lost. The breakdown was won by Lions today. You win the breakdown on a scrum in the territory battle, you don't often lose games, do you? The Sharks' discipline, absolutely appalling. And I'm sure there'll be lots of anti-ref comments, but they were really poor. The defensive speed was completely off, the timing, and so they straight off the side a lot and a bit lazy sometimes. So the Sharks' discipline absolutely killed them. 13 penalties conceded. You're going to struggle to win games with those kind of stats. And the Lions missing just 8 tackles the entire day. They outkicked the Sharks. They outmuscled them. They just outplayed them, to be honest. And maybe it sounds like I'm being completely over the top about about the Lions, but it really was. I mean, as I said, 38 points to nil at 78 minutes. It honestly looked like a Leinster versus like a Zebra type performance at stages, you know, where everything the Lions were doing was coming right and everything the Sharks were doing was just going wrong. They were knocking the ball on periodically in great chances. The Lions would scramble back and just create something. So, I mean, the amount of like last ditch tackles and knock ons the Lions created, and or rather the Sharks couldn't finish off, would have made a huge, huge difference. Money Russ, what a performance from him. You know, Henk van Beek getting injured, a huge part of that Lions side. And Money Russ, look, I mean, he's an 82 kg outside centre. So it's always going to be a problem, isn't it? But today, he was phenomenal. 8 tackles made, just the one missed. He made a turnover. He made 2 offloads, 29 meters gain with a defender beaten. He was everywhere today. I think he had a really big point to prove, and he proved it in abundance. From the Sharks, I thought Sia Masuku struggled a little bit, couldn't really control the game because the pack wasn't really dominating. I was really impressed with the Lions front row. I thought that Tino Tenda Malavazera, you know, the Zimbabwean flank, another really strong game for him, though. Really puts in the work and tries really hard. The Kanya Lorenzo Julius struggled to kind of combine maybe as a combination. Probably a game where they missed Andre Esterhuizen, given the fact that it was wet conditions and they didn't really have those sort of crash ball options to really sort of get behind the line. In fact, it's one of those things where I think they probably should have used Ethan Hooker a lot more as a crash ball. You know, wet conditions, get over the advantage line, then look to recycle type of situation. But for the Lions, Johnny Lomba with another really strong game. He's just come into his own the last few weeks. Didn't miss a tackle. He kicked well. He scored a try, created opportunities, and kicked well in game as well. Moy van den Berg with another really, really strong performance as well. So as a Lions fan, you could not ask for any more. The Sharks, they can't panic. That's the main thing. They cannot panic about this performance because they are still in a very good position in terms of the URC, but they've got to try and find a bit more consistency in their performances. The good news for them is that they will have immediate opportunity at redemption. This time next week, these two teams go again back in Durban, so the Sharks will have an opportunity to reset. The Lions will go down there thinking, listen, we can give them a go. And if we can give them a go, if we can really pitch up next week and get a result, that puts them firmly in the top 8. Because currently they're in the top 8. They're tied with points with Benton, but they've got more wins. They're 2 points behind Cardiff, as well as Edinburgh. They're 5 points behind Munster, but they've got a game in hand on Edinburgh and Munster. So if they were to win next week, which would be the game in hand, they would go into 6th. And they would be just potentially 1 or 2 points behind the Sharks. That puts them seriously in contention, especially given the fact they've got a good run in. The Sharks have got tough fixtures coming up, so they need to be careful. They need to respond very soon to start just picking up a few wins here and there to keep themselves in the mix. For them to have a chance of winning the URC, that home quarterfinal and semi-final is vital. What do you think of the performance? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.